First of all, we are born scientists. When we're born, we wonder what's out there. We begin to wonder about the sun, life, the stars, what makes the oceans, the weather. We're born scientists. And then something happens. When we hit the danger years of junior high school and high school, that's when it's literally crushed out of us.
Those are the worst.
Every little flower of curiosity, said Einstein, is crushed by society itself. Because we have to learn all these facts, figures, memorization, we think that memorization is science. And that's not true at all. My daughter had to take the Regents exam once, and she had to memorize all these facts and figures about minerals, crystals for a geology exam. Nowhere did I see the true driving force of geology, which is continental drift. That's the organizing principle for all of geology. And yet the exam was memorizing all the names of the crystals and the minerals. And then later she comes up to me and says, "Daddy, why would anyone want to become a scientist?" That was the most humiliating event in my entire life. I felt like taking that book and ripping it apart, because that exam was crushing curiosity right out of the next generation. And then we wonder, hey, how come people are not more interested in science? Duh.
I have a hypothesis. I didn't do the experiment, but it's not good enough to only be smart at something or to score high on an exam. At some point, you have to step away from the exam and say, I have a new thought that no one has had before. And it's not a thought that you told me to regurgitate on this exam that you just wrote, because it's a thought that no one has had before. And how do you get those thoughts? You get those in irreverent cultures. Possibly that has delayed our collapse, because it is out of the environment of not regurgitating what someone else has learned in their lifetime that allows you to make a discovery that no one else has made before.
You think there are too many tests? We give kids too many tests?
I think we put too much emphasis on what the meaning of the test is. I test people. It's a way to find out what you know. But don't then say, if you don't know this, therefore the rest of your life is screwed. No, because go find people who are successful in this world. Find, talk show hosts and comedians and novelists and attorneys, and go get the politicians. Put them in a room and say, how many here got straight A's throughout school? None of them are going to raise their hands. By the way, throw in inventors. Throw in all these people. None of them are going to raise their hand. Okay? So Bill Gates dropped out of college. Michael Dell dropped out of college. Those people are not, the success of those people is not measured by how they performed on the exam that you wrote as professor. Because they're thinking in ways that you have yet to think, because they're inventing tomorrow. And the only way you can invent tomorrow is if you break out of the enclosure that the school system has provided for you by the exams written by people who are trained in another generation.
One would just be simple. What would you say to a student in high school planning to make science, especially physics, a career?
I'd say go for it. I would say you do physics not because it's easy, but because it's hard. Ask around your school. Most people are taking classes when you have the option to take one class or another. Most people, from what I've seen, are taking classes that they have judged to be easy so that they could get a high grade.
Biggest mistake.
So that they can graduate with a high GPA. Because the system of education rewards high GPAs, but the system of life rewards tenacity, rewards your urge to tackle something you've never seen before and succeed. And even if you don't succeed, to have in that tenacity, to have the energy to go back and try it again. Knowing how to fail. These are things that the most successful people have going for them. So I would say take classes because they're hard, not because they're easy. And for every hard thing you accomplish, you ascend a pyramid. And every next rung that you ascend, you look around and there are fewer people at that level. That's what it means to do something that's hard. Fewer people can do it. That's what President Kennedy said on the way to the moon. We choose to go to the moon not because it's easy, but because it's hard. Only by doing hard things do you ever distinguish yourself from others around you, so that an employer can say, hey, look what you've done. Look what you've accomplished. I want some of that.